Well, good morning. This is the 12th of October, 2024. It's a beautiful fall day here in Utah with our mountains covered with fall leaves. This is the regular meeting of the Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy Group. Today we have a wonderful presentation and plan for you by Laurie Castillo. We'd like to begin with, first of all, we would like to welcome all of those participating via Zoom and Facebook and those that will be watching this presentation later. And now we'd like to have Jerry Castillo begin this with a prayer.
Our Father in heaven, we're thankful for the opportunity we have to gather together and talk about our families and how we can preserve their histories and the items that they have left to us. We pray, Father, for thy Spirit to be with our speaker, to be with those that are in charge of running the meeting, and we pray that all things may go well for our presenter and for those who are in attendance with us today and those who will view this at a later date. We pray, Father, for thy Spirit to be with us. Again, in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ, amen.
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 We would like to thank Gerhard Ruff, who does our technology, and also Carol Hill, who is on Facebook. We would really like to mention that if you would have questions or comments during this, that if you're on the Zoom, you can put it in chats, and if you're on Facebook, you can put it on the Facebook community. And then I would like to just give you a quick introduction. Our presentation today is the first one that starts at 10 is going to be protecting photos and memorabilia from disasters, a practical beginning. And I have to say, Laurie is one of my mentors. I have such great admiration because of the many tips and helps that she's provided. And that is one thing this organization does for all of us, is to help us become better. So that presentation is at 10. We will pause and then we will come back for her second presentation, A Family History That Lasts: Organize, Protect, Preserve, and Connect. Let me give you a little bio about Laurie. Laurie Werner Castillo was born in Santa Monica and raised in West Los Angeles with beagles, land tortoise for pets, and playmates. She played on the girls' basketball team for 2 years in high school and loved participating in tennis, volleyball, and basketball. She misses the palm trees in her front yard. So you'll notice she has in her background palm trees. And so it's not necessarily Hawaii, okay? And she misses the smell of the ocean every day. After really great education experience in Los Angeles, she attended BYU, earning an AA in Communications and Fine Arts and a BS in Consumer Economics. She met Jerry Castillo, who gave our opening prayer. He was from San Antonio, Texas. And then in Utah, they had 2 children, and now they have 7 grandchildren. Laurie's currently the first vice president of the Utah Valley and Technology Group. She's a former vice president, executive secretary, and board member of the Utah Genealogical Society. She's been a BYU family history library consultant, a tour director, a teacher for 32 years. She's been a professional researcher and writer for 32 years. She's presented at many conferences, including Roots Tech for the year between the years 2016 in the beginning to 2020. She's presented at BYU Family History Conferences between 2014 and 2019, and BYU Education Week 2016 to 2017, and We Are Cousins Conference. She's a former Red Cross instructor, Girl Scout troop leader, Boy Scout merit badge counselor, and a Chihuahua breeder. Her research specialists include German, Netherlands, Sweden, Canada, Hispanic research, New England, Midwest, Southwest, Mountain States, Pacific frontier regions of the U.S., and she's currently researching her World War I ancestors. and her ancestors in the 1918 influenza pandemic, and her German family and Los Angeles early years. Her interests include history, mystery, geography, and genetics. And add those up, and you have a lot of family history. So, Laurie, we will turn it now over to you to let us know what you're going to be doing, and then we'll come back.
Okay,
Thank you.
we'll put the link to the syllabus up in the chat.
Oh, we have a syllabus. Thank you.
Yeah, it's almost 20 pages.
Oh,
A veritable booklet. Okay.
Introduce your class now.
I introduced it on the.
Okay.
Collecting photos and memorabilia from disasters, a practical beginning. As we get started today, what you should know is this.
Laurie, we're missing your sound.
Okay, we'll back it up.
What's first? Step one is be prepared to protect yourself and your.
There it is. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Laurie Werner Castillo, and this is Protecting Photos and Memorabilia from Disasters, a practical beginning. As we get started today, what you should know is this. I have worked a lot with my own family memorabilia. I have taken classes. I've studied many books, articles, etc. on this subject. I've come up with some suggestions to help you get started with this important task. We need to keep it simple and keep it moving step by step. I call it preserving the precious. We don't want to get like this. Unless you have a ton of time, a staff to assist you, and a pile of money, you will need to pace yourself. This system helps you do so in a way that makes sense. What's first? Step one is be prepared to protect yourself and your home environment, family, friends, and pets. But from what? Well, from dust and particulates, mold, mildew, fungus, fumes, bugs, and pests, allergens. Are you receiving things that belong to someone who has or had pets? I have such a terrible cat allergy that when friends of mine come near me that have been handling their cat, I can tell. I'm also allergic to wool and feathers, and guess how I know that? My parents had me sleeping on a feather pillow under my dad's army blanket when I was just a tot, and this led to a major reaction and a bunch of allergy testing. Dust makes my skin itchy and my eyes burn. It also sets off an allergic reaction that kicks up my asthma. Sometimes, in order that will be less difficult on me, I schedule certain tasks to do just before I shower. Anything dusty or crusty like that. How else can we protect ourselves? Well, thanks to COVID, we all know about PPE, personal protective equipment. So we can wear gloves. What type? Generally, disposable nitrile gloves are best, not latex or cotton. You might want to wear a mask. I wear a regular mask when I'm just doing dusty stuff, but I use an N95 with the filter in it. You can see the picture in the middle of the screen, especially if dealing with mold or something worse. There are safety goggles and face shields that we can use.
Okay.
And one thing I recommend is a shower cap. I wear one when I'm going to work with something dusty, so I just don't get that dust into my hair and into my scalp. Another idea is to work outside where possible. On a porch, a covered patio, a carport, if you're lucky enough to have such a place. Now, let's talk about a few more care and prevention tips. One thing you should know is that silverfish and other bugs love to eat paper and glue, so they really go for cardboard boxes. Using a cardboard box is like ringing the dinner bell. Best idea is to replace them with plastic storage bins and archival boxes where possible. Secondly, protecting your own heirlooms, homes, and health. You'll be dealing with things in storage in your own home, but you may also inherit or be given things from the homes of others. These items may have been stored in their main living area or the attic, basement, garage, or shed. Make sure and protect your home and heirlooms from these new to you items that may not have been stored or cared for properly. You don't want to introduce mold or a bug outbreak to your house. You may want to figure out some place to check this stuff over before you bring it home. Maybe rent a climate controlled storage space for a month or two while you sort these items. And just as an example of what can happen with stuff from somebody else's house, my cousin, whom I'll call Pete, waltzed into my house, into my living room with a ratty cardboard box full of the filthiest photos I've ever seen. For me to identify, I was caught off guard by this filthy mess. And by the time he left 2 hours later, I could really feel the effects. My eyes, my lungs, etc., were really disturbed. I felt ill for several days and had to deal with trying to rid the living room of this dust and or mold. And just as an aside, Pete is my oldest cousin. He's 10 years older than me. Yet I was better able to identify the folks in the family photos, even the ones that were from the side of his family that we're not related on, strangely enough. Sometimes we think the elders will know more, but only if they paid attention in the first place. So now we are ready to begin step 2, which is assess and prioritize heirlooms. In this step, we need to determine which items are most precious, which you want to most survive, what would be most difficult to replace, what is most meaningful to your family story, and what might be significant to the local history where your ancestors lived, or to national history. Another thing to consider is which items are most at risk currently, what is most in danger of permanent or ongoing damage, and what is being handled too much without proper protection. That's how we'll determine where to start. While you assess and prioritize, you may notice duplicate documents, duplicate photos, things you really don't wish to save, large items you don't really have room to keep or maintain properly, especially if you may downsize at some point. So while you prioritize,
That didn't work.
you might consider sharing duplicates with family. Some duplicates are meant to be kept. Others should be shared. You might also share items with the local or state historical society where your ancestors lived. And some items you can scan and toss. Whoa, what do I mean by that? Okay. What I mean is an example of some of those outrageous 3D projects that our kids do for school or for clubs they belong to. Crazy 3D Halloween costumes. We scanned and videotaped a number of these items what makes it really good is if you can have the child or adult creator of these items stand by it or wear it and describe it in the video. So you get a double heirloom there. You may also notice damage to items and condition issues that need to be addressed. What to do? You need to make some notes. You need to create a list of topics for further research, learn about the possibilities for repair, cleaning, etc., and possible costs. In addition, you may find objects whose origin and backstory you do not know, and photos with unidentified people, locations, or events. What should you do now? Ask. And who will you ask? You'll ask family members. Ask the oldest first. They may or may not know more, but your time with them may be limited. Send scans of the mystery photos to relatives at a distance. Bring the pictures when you visit relatives or attend a family gathering or reunion. What will this do? Well, someone may have a labeled version of that very photo. Someone may recall the names of the people or recognize the location or event. You may find enough clues to deduce the who, what, when, and where you are currently missing. Remind relatives while you're doing it to please label their photos so the same thing doesn't happen to them. Step 3 is archival storage products. First, you need to learn about them, the types, the materials, the sizes, tools you may need to work with those materials. There are many resources in the syllabus, and we'll talk about some of them. And then you need to acquire appropriate products. So you'll need to find out where to acquire those, and purchase some to begin with, and then plan for further purchases as you are able to budget them in. Okay. The foods in these jars both look great, but only one set will be edible for long, the one that was processed and stored properly. Preserving things carefully and correctly makes all the difference. The archival products do cost more than standard paper and folders, but I'll tell you this, nothing I have purchased so far has ever needed to be replaced. The boxes, folders, and sheet protectors and binders all look like I purchased them yesterday. My heirlooms are holding up well. Quality storage products are an investment that pays off, and you will likely only need to purchase them once. Step 4, cleaning. You will want to clean your items before storing them in the archival protection products you have purchased and before scanning. Most items at least need dusting. Now, this is a bit disgusting, but remember that dust can be anything from fine sand, dirt, mold, dust mite feces, dried crushed bugs, skin cells, etc. None of those are good company for our heirlooms. Dust affects paper and most anything else like sandpaper. Depending on the artifact, you may need to use a soft cloth or a soft brush. And those are not to be used on photos, but you might consider using a mini HEPA vac with or without a mesh covering over the end of it, or canned air. We always have that around the house because my husband is a computer hardware tech, and he uses it to clean computers and keyboards and all kinds of things. So there are other professional products, depending on the materials involved. You'll have to study out the possibilities and consult experts before you try something irreversible. And I should say that you'll notice in the syllabus that there are a number of links to experts who you can send a question to for free. Step 5, place clean items in the archival protection materials purchased. Make sure all metal, clips, staples, brads, etc. have been removed. You can see from the little picture there what happens with the old kind of paper clips And that staining that happens, that rust staining that happens to the paper or folders is almost impossible to remove. And paper clips are not a good idea in the first place because they tend to buckle the paper. So make sure all rubber bands or other such items have been removed. Rubber bands, you probably had one long enough that it dried out and just broke the next time you touched it. But they also have the possibility, especially in a really warm place, to melt and turn into the goo they came from. And that is not at all a good thing for your heirlooms. Make sure items have sufficient room. There should be no buckling, wrinkling, or folding when you place your items in the protection you have purchased, and nothing should stick out. Some things are better stored flat to avoid bending and buckling. And no container should be overfilled. That just puts pressure and causes damage to the heirlooms that you are trying to protect. Step 6 is preparing the safest storage area available in your home. This involves controlling what are known in the preservation world as the agents of destruction or the agents of deterioration. The worst one probably is light, natural and man-made. Then there's heat and temperature, humidity. And with those, heat and temperature and humidity, what you most want to achieve is a very stable environment. When things fluctuate back and forth, that's when buckling and problems occur that may permanently damage your items. Some of the other agents are pests and pollution and contaminants. There are others, and I've put links to some articles that talk more about those in the syllabus. So this is the quick reference for environmental control from NEDIC, which is the Northeast Document Conservation Center. It's create a stable environment. They talk about 70 degrees being a good target temperature and relative humidity below 55%. Avoid storing items in the attic or basement or along outer walls of your home, which tend to experience temperature fluctuation. Avoid storing items near heat sources or cooling sources where that'll pop on and off and cause fluctuation. Avoid storing items near or below water sources like pipes. And store material at least 4 inches off the floor to reduce the risk of damage from floods and leaks. Use blinds and curtains and keep lights off in your storage area to reduce fading and damage from light exposure. One thing I can recommend if you have things out for display, in whatever room you do that in, on the windows, that you put what they call UV film. It's just clear plastic that applies to the window. You don't even see it, but it really does cut down on the amount of UV that penetrates into your house. Dust and vacuum regularly to discourage pests. And know that it's impossible to avoid all sources of risk, but awareness of possible hazards will allow you to prepare for and respond to any problems that arise. Next, we'll talk about the suppliers of archival products. I listed them alphabetically, so we'll start with archival methods. Most of these websites have free resources for beginners and for those learning new techniques for storing different kinds of items. Here, the arrow is pointing right at the tab for resources. And here is their list of resource topics. There's downloads, a glossary of archival terminology, videos, and under the downloads, there's a section of how-to articles. You can see here, archival storage of family photographs, conservation for textiles. repairing your old board games even, and photographic techniques for mounting corners and hinges, so which is important to know. And here are the currently available instructional videos, old envelopes, what to do with them, preserving old letters, preserving family photographs, and then one called preservation tips, everything you need to know. Sounds good. I can't possibly cover all the details in this one session. I usually teach a series of classes on this subject. So I tried to include links to further information for you. Here we are at Gaylord Archival. They have a new resource section. If you select the preservation tab that the little arrow is pointing to, you find out that you can choose from these topics: collectibles, books, documents, garments and textiles, media, and photos. So more help for you there. This is Hollinger Metal Edge. Under the Our History tab on this website, we learned that Hollinger Metal Edge was founded in 1945 in Arlington, Virginia. Working with officials at the Library of Congress and National Archives, Hollinger Metal Edge Incorporated developed acid-free papers, storage boxes, and envelopes that would allow for the proper preservation of valuable documents and photographs. So this is where it all began. And there you can see the boxes that they sell. Lots of places sell these now, but I think this is where their names came from. In the middle picture on the bottom row there, you can see the metal support that are built into the outside corners of their boxes, and they give really good support and protection to the items inside. Let's see. There's their resources tab. And here's a list of the topics for their resources. They have a guide to their products, which is helpful. They have the 5 best products for the private collector or family archivist. And that's probably the ones you'll use the most of, and probably the ones you'll need first. It's be nice to take a look at that. They have something for quote collectors, document storage, and photographic storage, some of our primary concerns. And this is Talus. They also have a resource section. They have a resources blog and some resources that you can download. They have an archival glossary as well. And this is university products. They have a full inventory of archival products and the tools that you may need in using those products as well. The next we'll talk about is helpful organizations with free resources. This is the American Institute for Conservation. You can see the section here titled Caring for Belongings, which contains guides designed for lay people. And there's some really great topics there. Here's an example of one. They're all called Caring for Your Treasures. And then you look down at the bottom of the page to see which one it is. This one's on metal objects. And what I like about them is they start out with, the first section is how to protect your metal objects, then cleaning and handling, then the environment, how to create the best environment for them, then storage and display, and then a section on when disaster strikes. If something should happen to them, they should get wet or somehow get damaged, what you should do. And then they have a section on when it's time to consult a conservator, a professional. They're very beautifully done. This is a close-up of the pictures in the metal object brochure. The Family Search blog has a series done by Leslie Huber entitled Simple Steps to Preserve Your Precious Memories. They cover types of items we have to preserve and the concerns we will face as we work with them. And these are the 6 of them. These are the links to them. And it's preserving photos, one on letters and documents, preserving electronic information, preserving audiovisual material, books, and then artifacts. The Library of Congress has a section on digital preservation, And under that, personal archiving, and that's the page that you're looking at here. Preserving your digital memories. The second arrow here is pointing at the section where you can click on those on the different files that they have prepared for us to look at and use. So this is also the Library of Congress. This is the collections care section, where they start out with understanding why and how paper degrades. Some of the other things you can click on here are guidance for various format types. And I know I'm showing you a lot of these places for resources, but I'll tell you, I've looked at all of them quite deeply, and there's always something in the resources of one place. It's not in the resources of the other place. And so I think it's worth being able to look at all of them. This one has some interesting different sections. This one on scrapbooks and albums. And it really is important to handle those correctly. They've got one on newspapers and comic books even. And so you never know. This is the Library of Congress, and they have a preservation section, and under it is a section called Information by Media Type. So that's very helpful, and all of these are files you can click on and learn from. This is what the bottom of that page shows, and I put it up here bigger so you can see it. It's where you can contact the preservation folks at NARA with general questions on preventative care. This is back to the preservation section at National Archives. This first part is called What You Want to Preserve, and the other part where the arrow is pointing is under special projects, and it has a section called How to Preserve Family Archives, and this is that page. So there's a lot there. This gives you tips on storing, displaying, digitizing, repairing, what to do about moldy or insect infested stuff, and on here. This is the Northeast Document Conservation Center, which has a very beautiful website that I quoted from earlier. The arrow is pointing to the links for free preservation leaflets, and the second arrow is indicating free resources. This is the very top of the page for the genetic preservation leaflets. They're in 7 categories, and this page is very long, and so you can go down that and check out the things that sound appropriate for what you need. And these are the free resources. You click on any one of these squares and it'll take you to a lot more information. This one is called Caring for Private and Family Collections. And when you click on it, it takes you to this section. It's the very top of the page, introduction, and then it'll go through all different topics under the preservation of collections. And this whole website is just beautifully, it's just beautifully done. It has a lot of good photographs. This is the Society of California Archivists, and this picture always touches my heart because I'm a Californian, and this is our state flower, the golden poppy, and our state animal is the golden bear up there. So anyway, they have produced a series of preservation brochures. And here they are doing oral history, doing your neighborhood history, family papers, preservation and organization, and preserving family photographs. And these brochures are available in English, Spanish, and Chinese. And these are free PATH downloads. This is the website of the Henry Ford. Archivists there have produced these fantastic fact sheets. They are each 5 or more pages long and full of helpful tips. Download the free PDF files. There are a number of topics addressed by this series that I have not seen elsewhere. They have basketry, brass and bronze, iron, silver, clocks, furniture and wooden objects, glass and ceramics, oil painting, and on. This is an article from the Smithsonian Institution Archives. It's called Documenting the Family Treasure Chest. You'll want to make sure each item in your collection is documented. This is the only way to preserve the meaning and the family connection of each item so that the coming generations will value them. Undocumented heirlooms are like pieces you see in a museum. They may be beautiful or unique or odd. They may be valuable or very vintage, but you really have no connection to them. Undocumented heirlooms are frustrating because of all that you may never know about them. Undocumented stuff is much more likely to end up at the dump, including your personal heirlooms. Documentation is protection. Document now. If you don't, who will? Step 7 is document each heirloom. You need to identify the items you feel are family heirlooms, find your expert, and what they mean by this is who in the family knows the most about each item. And be sure and get them to talk about it and describe it. Take photos from all sides and angles necessary to fully capture this item, and record a description, background information, and family stories connected to this item. One good thing about this process is that if something ever happens to the heirloom itself, you still have all the pictures and all the description, and so you really haven't lost it. Step 6 is what to record about your heirlooms. What is this object? What was it used for? Where did it come from? Who has used it or owned it over the years? Why is it important? What does it mean to you? What memories or stories do you have about this object? What do you hope happens to it? What do you want other people to know about this object? Who else in our family might have a story about this? Those are the types of things you might want to cover. Those questions are courtesy of Memento.com. Step 8, scanning and other digital conversion. Numerous types of scanners and equipment exist for converting various forms of media, such as photos, slides, negatives, film, microfilm, books, documents, and ephemera, tapes such as reel-to-reel, cassette, VHS, and more. It's important to remember that the higher the resolution, the better. The files will be larger, but the cost for electronic file storage is much more affordable now, and I think it's worth it. Locating places for free scanning and file conversion opportunities. I want you to know how to do that. And some places where I've found opportunities are the public library, memory labs, college and university libraries, historical and genealogical societies, and family search facilities. First, public libraries. Many of them have equipment you can use for converting files and making copies. Do a Google search for local libraries, check out their websites, call to double check when the facilities are open, make any necessary reservations for equipment before you get there. Take heirlooms and gloves with you, and flash drives or an external hard drive. And remember that you may need to be a card holder to use the equipment. I'm going to give you a quick look at what several libraries have to offer. The links for these libraries are in the syllabus. The first example I'm going to show you is my own local library. This facility is the one that made me wonder whether such facilities were available elsewhere. I've now found them across the country. This is the makerspace. I'm just going to give you a quick look at the type of items available. First, the items that can actually be checked out by card holders and taken home by category. The first category is video equipment. And you can just see all the different types of cameras and things. These items might help you create family history videos for your reunions, and provide other ways to capture your heirlooms. Audio equipment. You can go to the link and if you want to read these lists in more detail. Photography equipment. And archiving equipment. So they have different video to digital equipment, cassette to digital 8mm and Super 8 digitizers, and scanners for slides and negatives. So it's wonderful to be able to take those home. The library has other equipment for textiles and crafts and all kinds of things. Now, it's nice to be able to work at home. When you work in the library using these in-house use items, help is available nearby to teach you how to use the equipment. So that's not bad. This list is for equipment, which you can make a reservation to use in the makerspace. And here is, some of these makerspaces even have a studio, and this is our studio here. It's an independent recording space located next to the makerspace. So, and you can use this room to record audio and video directly to your own devices or any of the equipment available from the makerspace. And here's how you can make an online reservation. Now, the next library is the Cincinnati Public Library, and they have a makerspace as well. They're not all called makerspace, but these happen to be. This is the media conversion station, and it tells you what they have, what can be done, what you'll need to bring. This is a look at some of the equipment in their media conversion station. And this is their audio recording station. They also have a photography and video station and a large format scanner. Can you imagine? That would be fantastic for maps and other large items. This is Orange County, California. Their public library system, and they have memory labs. And they're for scanning and film and tape digital conversions and more. So this is Mesa, Arizona County Libraries that have a digital conversion station and likely others as well. This one's in Clearwater, Florida. It's public library, and it has a program called the Memorabilia service where you can drop off as many items as will fit in the envelope they give you, and they will do the items for you and call you when they are ready for pickup. Can you imagine? Wow. They will do the projects that are listed on this page, that sort of thing. And they also have maker studios where you can do things yourself. This is the Russell Library in Middletown, Connecticut, and their program is called the Memory Box. The Memory Box is a place where you can convert your old media to new formats. And often these websites will include how-to information about operating the various machines so you can read up before you get there. College and university facilities. Some universities do allow the public to use their digital conversion equipment. You'll want to contact colleges and universities near you to find out. And here's another thought. Students, faculty, and staff generally have access to these facilities. Are you one of those persons, or do you have any such persons in your family? If so, get them to help. This is the Brigham Young University Family History Library website, which is located inside the main library, the Lee Library. There's a massive amount of scanning equipment there, and all of it is available to the public. I included the link so you could see pictures and how-to files for the equipment there. This is the University of North Texas Library's website. They have self-service video transfer stations free of charge. Or they will also perform services for you for a fee, whichever you prefer. Family search centers often have equipment for scanning and sometimes for file conversion. The link for this search is in the syllabus. I will search for San Antonio, Texas. As I begin typing in San Antonio, the locator function helps me out. My search results tell me there are 21 locations in or near San Antonio. The first one showing here with phone number, address, and a more information bar that can be clicked on. And of course, its name and title is there. And the other 20 follow. Here is a map of my search showing where they're all located. The green balloons indicate family search centers. The red balloons are family search affiliate libraries. These affiliates are libraries of all types that have agreed to partner with Family Search. They provide the services of a family search center, but usually have longer hours. See the links in your syllabus for more details. Step 8, backups and digital archiving. Types of possible backups. The old-fashioned print paper still works. You also have USB or flash drives, Dropbox, external hard drives, cloud backup, and create multiple copies. But don't keep them all on your desk at home. That defeats the purpose. Drop that flash drive in a birthday or Christmas card, seal that envelope, and presto, you are ready for the holidays. No stressful shopping or wrapping for you. Thanks for listening. Please check the syllabus for the links to all we have discussed and much more.
Oh, Laurie, this has been so wonderful. I am so grateful. How did you know this was my Christmas project? I am so grateful for you to have done this whole series. I can't wait to start adding all of those archival sites to my bookmarks. Because so often I had one favorite archival purchase site, but to have all those resources in the handout is just incredible. I'm so grateful for that, because sometimes just being able to make a plan, I'm always grateful for how well organized everything you do. I have a scattered brain, and I remember a woman saying she was always feeling overwhelmed when she walked into her kitchen and where to start. And someone says, well, start by washing the dishes. And that's the same way I feel about you, is your handouts always say, well, let's just start here. And it's just a matter of getting started. And that's so grateful for it. I'm also grateful for pointing out all of these different centers that have all of these materials for free for us to be able to use to transfer the materials. I just recently found my husband's tapes from his mission, but they're an odd size, and so sometimes we need to reach out and find out where these things are. So thank you for including that in this presentation.
Laurie, what do you recommend for cassette tapes? I've got some weird cassette tapes of my journal tapes, and they used to have a thing at BYU Library, but I think they've closed that now.
We still have cassette converters there, but what do you mean it's a weird cassette?
It's on 4-track. They sold 4-track tape recorders at the MTC that would go down and back, and they're quarter speed.
Oh my.
Oh, down and back and so on. And I'm afraid I'm only going to get one pass out of it, and then it's going to be, the I doubt if I maybe get more than one pass, but I can't find any place around here that's got anything that will do that.
So the center at BYU, you're saying they used to have the media center where you
They
could
used to have
transfer
it, and you
things.
can no longer convert, for example, phonograph records and so on. They don't allow that
Yeah.
anymore.
They don't. I
At
mean,
least that's what my kids have told me, that
huh?
they used to have it available, but now you can't do it anymore.
Well, there's another place in at BYU. It's on the fourth floor, and it's
Yeah,
Yeah, by the music library.
yeah, and they've
That's what
closed
they
that.
closed.
no.
Wow.
Well, it's still on the library website. I investigated it
Is
recently.
it? Yeah, okay. Well, I need to check that out and see.
Check that
But
out.
I wonder, I've got some old of those old 4-track tape recorders, but I'm not sure I can do it down and back 4 times to to get my journal tapes off.
Yeah, yeah. I know
Yeah,
the.
you
And
got me there. I didn't even, I've never heard of such a thing, but there, as I've actually read a couple of articles recently on obsolete media talk about, I found out about a lot of stuff I'd never heard of or that either preceded me or that I never had a use for when it existed. So I never actually ran across it.
Yeah, well, Alan's camera will convert regular cassette tapes. They charge an arm and a leg for it, but they had no idea how to handle these others. Anyway,
Well,
They have these.
I know the Mapleton Family History Center. They have some experts at transferring stuff and have a large collection of transferring stuff. So you might give them a call because they have some gurus there that are really good at.
that's Bob Snow and his wife.
Yes,
Yeah, they're my
yes.
cousins. Yeah,
Oh, your cousins. That's even
Oh,
better.
they've
surprise,
had me put
surprise.
some of my stuff on their machines.
Hey, did you remember, Don, when we took your large
Yes,
format
that's what they've taken.
records?
Yep, you can no
The
longer do that.
records that were they used at radio stations are larger than the
Uh-huh.
LPs that we
Yes,
had,
It's
yes.
and
16
they
inch.
had the ability to do those at the BYU, yeah,
They
library.
used to.
Hey, by the
They no
yeah,
longer have that.
Huh.
Laurie,
Yeah.
by the way, I went through your handout
Wow.
as you were doing the presentation.
Yes.
You have almost every word you have on the screens, including the links, there in that handout. I've never seen a 20 some page handout like that before. That is extensive.
Well, you know what when I create these handouts while I'm creating the classes, or sometimes I create the handout first, but it's like it's my what would you call it? It's
Uh,
like
your filing cabinet.
my favorites or
Oh, yeah.
my,
Yeah.
and so I make them for myself. I use them for reference. So I just figure, well, I usually don't create this large a one to go with the class and just give out, but I thought I would this time because there's so many different areas in preservation.
Yeah.
And as I've read these, I have been, instead of sometimes you think that you get overwhelmed and you just feel like, I want to run the other way. Well,
Yeah.
these articles have made me feel like, hey, I could do this.
This is doable. This is
I
doable.
tried to copy the chat and I couldn't copy it to get
Oh,
a copy
download
of her.
that.
How do you do it?
Don, there in the chat, right by the name of the file, you have a little download arrow. It may be too small for you to see, but
Is
if you
it
put your mouse,
in front of it or
no,
after it?
no, it's in the middle of it.
This one?
You have to put your mouse on the name there in the
Oh,
link,
It's
I
over.
see. Okay,
and
my
then
mouse
you
is on the
get a
name.
little,
Now,
and there
where?
to the right of the name is a down arrow with a line underneath it.
Uh, my
It's gray. It's gray. You may not be able to see it.
Oh, I can see it. There's a little down arrow. Okay, now what do you do with that? You click that, and what happens?
Click on it and it downloads it wherever you download folder is.
Oh, good. Oh, I did never know that before. Oh yeah, save as. Uh, okay, now I got to figure out where to put it so I can find it.
Okay. Anyway, it's
Thanks.
handy.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
anyway, Laurie, that is extensive.
Yes.
I've used Alan photos. I would have rather done it myself, but
Yeah.
we started off converting the old 8 millimeters to first VHS tapes, and then we had to convert the VHS tapes to DVDs,
It would
and
be
now
Now it's in the
and
thumb
now
drive.
DVD players are going out of style.
you didn't throw away the original tape, the original film, did you?
No, no, but we could have
That
gone back and done it
converted
in
film.
one step rather than two. Yeah.
It would be better if you went back and used the film and
Really? That's a
direct converted it. You never want to get rid of the original.
oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
Costco used to have a system where you could take it for $20. They would do a full 7-inch reel of tape and do a super good thing, but they've dropped that. Costco no longer has that
There is
facility.
there
Yeah,
is a site I've used. I'm going to put it in the chat. It's called Larson's Digital.
yeah.
And
They advertise at the conferences. Yeah, a lot.
yeah, they do a really good job. At least they have to for me.
Where is Larson Digital? I've heard of
I
them, but
think
I don't know where they
it's in
are.
Ogden, I believe.
In Ogden. Okay.
Yeah, and they do everything. They do vinyl records, the tapes, the cassette tapes, and they have really odd formats that they have. And so if you talk to them and that, they may even have it. But theirs is more a mail order thing that you take a box, put it in, and you can mail it to them. And then they do have a few drop off places.
They do sometimes have local
Yeah,
drop.
local places. Yeah,
And what having a conversation with them about your 4-track cassette thing, if
yeah,
they don't know about it, I don't know who would, because
yeah.
Yeah, that's a
the
problem.
other day I think we actually had somebody bring a 5 1/4 into the library, and we used to have a machine sitting out there to convert those floppies, and I don't know if it's still there. It might be in one of the back rooms, but
Yeah, yeah,
I've
that
still got a 5 1/4 inch floppy machine.
Some of the closets.
oh, it's in one of the closets, so it can be gotten out. But what we need to do is encourage people, whatever old media they have, do it
just
and do it now, because
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I put
you
mine
know,
off too long.
so
our 5 1/4 converter won't live forever, So,
Laurie, one of the things besides just converting it over, I remember a friend bringing me something they'd pulled off of a 5 1/4, and the friend says, "What is all of this?" And of course, it's all those obsolete,
yeah,
file extensions and
oh, yeah,
backups and all of that. And so I went through and I says, well, all of this you can delete except this one. This one's valuable, and this one we can still, transfer over. But so many times it's mostly backups, and all that information is on Family Search. And so it's good to have a knowledgeable person in a family history center that can sit down and say, you're
Yeah.
okay. You're okay.
and I think
Yeah.
By the way, Laurie, we did have one or two comments on
On Facebook.
Facebook.
Okay.
There was one comment specifically for Don. Uh, Gordon said, Don, if you still have the recorder that works, you can probably use the same converter I use. And I gave Gordon your email address to contact you directly.
Who is Gordon? Gordon who? Do you know?
His name is Gordon Bowley. That was in Facebook.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I've given him your email address.
Good.
And by the
Appreciate that.
way, we've had people online from Fredericksburg, Virginia, Ontario, Canada,
Wow.
Tallahassee, Florida, all
Yeah.
over the United
they'll
States.
start. They're still They still got a connection there in Florida.
From
Yeah.
Ontario, Canada. Was that Warner, Helen, and Malcolm
No,
Warner?
nope, no, it's in Petersboro, and that's where Gordon is.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, we're at the end of our time, Marilyn.
Okay, yes, we need to close up. Thank you so much. Thank you for the material. We're going to go ahead and pause. And so those that are on Zoom, you can stay on Zoom. Those are in our Facebook community, you'll need to log out of this session. And then in about 5 or 10 minutes, you will be able to log in for the second session,